Are there any philosophies or ancient texts that reflect what you teach? That's question A. Question B, what do you think about mind-altering substances, specifically ayahuasca, peyote, different substances that are used in traditional cultural rituals as far as enhancing reality goes? And third thing is, are you planning on going to Las Vegas anytime soon? And if you are, can I go with you?
You're taxing my memory now. Remember, I'm 65. Okay, let's start
You're
with.
still young.
So let's start with number one. Are there any other philosophies or whatever out there that agree with me? And I'd say yes, many. It's.
Specifically Indian, Vedic, Hawaiian.
Yeah, all of it.
All of it.
If you take bits and pieces, it's basically all of it. And the reason is that there is but one truth. There's just one truth. But there's thousands of valid ways of expressing that truth. And all of these other groups, if you will, all of the religions, major or minor, whatever, all of the groups of people who have their own spiritual things, they're all working and they're all trying to express that same truth. Now, most of them express a part of it, and you get other parts not quite complete, but it's pieces. So you can go and look at all of that, you get all the pieces, and yes, it's all valid, and yes, it's all great, and yes, it's all a great way to grow. So I'd say just about everything. Now, there are probably some groups that are mainly about fear and other things that aren't helping, but for the most part, all the people who are working on spiritual paths, it's not like this person is right and these are wrong. They're all just different. And if you work at them, they're all going to the same place sooner or later. Most of them only have a partial vision. They don't understand the whole thing, but they understand just enough that they need to help them take the next step, which is really all they need.
Survival. Survival.
Yeah. So your second question was?
Mind-altering substances?
Mind-altering substances. In general, very bad idea. Okay, my take on mind-altering substances are that they are of extremely limited value. The only value I've ever really heard of is that somebody that took them once, maybe twice, opened their mind to a larger reality, and they don't take them anymore, but then they go find a spiritual path. Anybody that takes mind-altering drugs and takes them because that's how they get their spiritual experience is going backwards. That's not effective. It doesn't work. You're not going to grow spiritually from taking a drug. You can only grow spiritually from growing up, making better choices, being loved. That's how you grow. Taking a drug actually makes it worse. It confuses your mind. It makes choices harder. It makes your reality, you're interfering with the natural feedback. You're interfering with the natural constraints that you operate in. You start missing lessons. You don't make connections because you're foggy. You see, it takes you backwards. Most people who do drugs on some kind of regular basis, they're further back as far as their quality, their conscious, their spiritual content.
Would you say that even for Native Americans who do
Yes.
peyote?
What I would say about that is that it's very limited. Yes. Under the right kind of attitude. Now see, they're not taking their peyote in their religious ceremony because it's a kick, right? It's not that, hey, let's all do a religious ceremony and get high. That's not their attitude. See, now that's a big ego attitude, right? So if that's your attitude, then you're basically fueling up your ego in that, which is counterproductive. With a different attitude, where it's part of your ceremony, you're taking it seriously for what happens, you can have an unlimited effect from it, but it's very limiting. Anytime that you have to depend on some substance to do the work for you, you're limited. You're really very limited. You need to be able to do this yourself, under your own steam and your own power. Otherwise, you're not going to get but so far. Yes, in their ceremonies, they can do that. It'll get them to a particular place, and they, with their own training, will be able to use that place for something, like going into the future probable database and collecting things or getting information. But you see, they should be able to learn to do that without that drug. The drug is not necessary. The drug is a crutch. Well, if you always walk around with crutches, you'll never be a good runner. You'll never be able to, it just limits you. It's an anchor. It doesn't push you forward. But yeah, under certain stuff, it can give you something, but with it comes limitation. And the something you get out of it, in my estimation, is not worth the limitation that you get that goes with it. And the last question?
Going to Las Vegas.
Yeah, when are we all going to go to Las Vegas with you?
Las Vegas.
Place all the bets you place.
Yeah, you can use your mind to do that sort of thing, but now here's, and this also comes with I mentioned this law of attraction. Okay, they fit together, and that is that if you use your intent to aggrandize your ego, you're asking the system to work against itself. You've got a system whose job is to help you grow and get rid of fear, get rid of ego. And also it will deliver you feedback based on your intent. So now you're going to use that intent to get feedback to aggrandize your ego. You're asking the system to work against itself. When you do that, expect to get a sharp slap upside the head. You will get a lesson. You will get a lesson about that will probably, even if you get your stuff, it will probably come at a very dear lesson that isn't worth it. The system will not work against itself. It may give you what you want, but it may not be in the way that you want it. So that would be the thing. And it's the same with the Las Vegas. Trying to aggrandize your ego by using the consciousness system, to get money or fame or fortune or a girlfriend or whatever it is that you want, is basically abuse of the ability. Consciousness is consciousness. You can use it to hurt as well as you can to heal. You can use it to make somebody ill as well as you can to heal them. Right? We have that. The voodoo, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that works too. There is entropy reduction on the negative side, but it's only by control. The love side, the positive side, has all of this it's unlimited how far it can go. On the negative side, it only goes so far and can't get any more powerful than that because it's self-destructive. An ego that gets more and more powerful gets more and more self-destructive. So it's very limited. So you can walk on the negative side if you like. It's a very limited side and not a good trip. And abusing the system is headed in that direction. You can also, try to give all of your enemies and competitors, headaches and make them sick. That's going down the wrong path, and in the end, that's a hole you'll have to dig yourself out of. So, not a good idea. But consciousness can be abused as well as used.
Is there anything else that you might share regarding increasing one's power of using your intention that you haven't mentioned already?
No, the big thing is learn to be able to get into that point consciousness state where there's nothing in your existence. You only exist as a point of consciousness. That's all your awareness sees. When you're in that state, you're basically, you're out of body because you don't get physical sensations. If you're not getting any physical data, then you're not in a physical reality. Your signal's strong, your noise is low. At that point, you can make intentions. Whether your intention is to go someplace, like your remote viewing, I want to go see what's going on such and such, or whether your intention is to heal someone, whether your intention is to gather information, doesn't matter. At that point, you're strong. Now, not only do you have to get to that point, but you have to be able to focus your intent very precisely. If you have an intention that's broad, like do good things, everybody on my block be happy, you'll get very general kind of things happening. It won't be very focused. You need to focus it very tightly, and you'll have the maximum impact. So that's the main thing. And the other thing is, like anything else, you get better at it if you practice. And you should always collect the data. You'll never know what you're doing if you don't turn this into a science experiment. So when you heal, you can't just heal and say, all right, send you good energy, that's nice, and never take any data. You'll never know what you're doing. You need to make it science. You need to say, all right, over the next 6 months, I'm going to ask everybody I know if they know somebody with an illness, and to just give me, you can call them Mr. X or Mr. Y, it doesn't matter, somebody that you don't know. And then try to diagnose them. Try to see what's wrong. Use your intent to get in that spot, get the data to see what's wrong with them, and then heal them. Then go back to that person and say, well, did Mr. X have something wrong with him right here? And then another spot down there, and you'll get data that's either yes or no. If the data is yes, then you say, I did that, that seemed to work. Let's try to do more of the way I did that one. And the ones that didn't work, let's not do it that way anymore. If you keep iterating that, it's subtle. Use your intuition. You'll get better at it and better at it and better at it. So it's just practice, but you've got to take the data. If you don't take the data, how do you know what to let go of and what to encourage, you see? And a lot of people don't do that. It's too much trouble to take the data. So whatever you do, first do stuff that you can check on. Now, eventually, you can't check on everything. When you're out in the larger conscious system, there's no data that you can check. But if you have worked enough that you really know what you're doing, and 90% of the time this works, this is real, then you kind of have to extrapolate that and say, well, I'm doing this the same way, so that's probably real too. But be skeptical. Probably real too. Maybe, maybe not. Always be skeptical of yourself as well as everything else. Don't accept anything easily until you've proven it to yourself. And then still stay skeptical. The thing that's hard for people to do is live gracefully with uncertainty. We don't like skepticism because we don't like uncertainty. We want to know. I want to know, is I effective or not? Well, if you demand that kind of knowledge, you'll end up believing it or not believing it. You convince yourself somewhere. Don't try to demand that. Just say, well, I don't know yet, but here's what it looks like. I've done this 100 times and 90 of them it worked. Well, could that have just happened? Probably not. If I've done this 10 times and 5 of them worked, well, that could just be chance. That doesn't mean anything. So you just have to keep doing it. Well, what's the difference between the 5 that worked from the 5 that didn't? Try to do it that way more. Make up tools. Remember, we can use light beams to burn away black spots. Work up your own tools. If you're a person that likes less intrusive and violent processes, then take your little fairy wand and sprinkle fairy dust. These are just metaphors, you see. It doesn't matter what you do. There's nothing magic about the light beam. It's a metaphor. Fairy dust works just as good. It's just a tool to focus your intent.
I've been attending since all week, actually, to ask you this question. So on the scientific side of, I'm interested in the, granted that we're saying things are consciousness, but there are the constraints, and so, the material world matters. It might not be substantial or the way it was supposed to be, but they matter. So that's my segue to talk about the brain. It seems like maybe another way, or maybe a way you put this sometimes, is it sounds like the brain would be a quantum computer. And in quantum computers, you increase the chance of the result you want. You try everything, increase the chance of the result you want, which is what visualization does by the classical psychology. Visualizing something means you're going to be ready to see it, even if it was objectively there, you would only see it by being ready. But in a quantum computer, that actually makes it more likely. And also in quantum erasure, that's like where you can fiddle with the effects after the fact. You can change whether or not you had the entanglement. So it sounds like, a material way to put it is just the brain would be a quantum computer.
Right, that would be a metaphor that works, but it doesn't really matter too much. We can say the brain's a quantum computer, and that may be a good physical description of our rule set. If that's what our rule set, ends up telling us about how the brain works, then sure. If our rule set ends up telling us how the brain works or something else, then that's okay too. The point is that the brain, though, is just an expression of the rule set. It's expression of the rule set that limits our cognitive ability, and that's all. Whether it's a quantum computer or not, that's science here. That's what do we call it? That's digging out the rule set. There's a lot of stuff about the rule set we don't know. There's a whole lot of science hasn't been figured out yet, right? So there's a lot of rule set that's undiscovered, and that may be one of them. We may find out that that's the way the brain works. We found out a lot of biology and DNA, and we find out how this stuff works.